Hello everyone, welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
I'm Chickling.
And are you in the mood to shop?
Of course, always, 24/7.
Are you in the mood to find really cool stuff that you can't find anywhere else?
Of course.
Are you in the mood to shop for things that you can't find anywhere else that are really, really cheap?
Cheap?
Saving lots of money?
Yeah, I'm
A
ready.
flea market is where we're going, and it's not a
Okay.
place that you buy fleas to make you itchy or to jump around on your dirty dog. No, we're talking about flea markets, which only have fleas in the name and hopefully no fleas in the product. So, as the article says, want a bargain? Visit a flea market.
Flea market, okay, 跳蚤市场，跳楼大拍卖。
What
Have
do
you,
What do you call a flea market in Mandarin Chinese?
跳蚤市场。
Is it a flea market?
Yeah, direct translation.
There you go. All right. But of course, there shouldn't be any fleas involved. So let's find out all about flea markets today and tomorrow. We're going to be reading an interesting article about flea markets, the history of flea markets, where that weird name comes from, and where you can visit a flea market here in our own lovely country. Fleas not included. Let's check it out.
Reading. Want a bargain? Visit a flea market. Here's an article for those of you who love to grab a bargain. And who doesn't love a bargain? Today, we're going to talk all about flea markets. As you might have guessed from the introduction, a flea market is a magical place where great deals are found. Many people sell second-hand items at cheap prices, which is the appeal. There's no denying that there is often some trash for sale. But there are usually very desirable items too. The available items depend a lot on the type of flea market. Some sell general items, while others specialize in things such as antiques, clothes, records, or even automobile parts. If you're wondering why the name for this type of market is flea market, you're not alone. There are different theories, but the most likely one is probably also the most obvious. Back in the 1860s, there was a market area in Paris known as the Marché aux Puces. This directly translates to flea market in English. In those days, it was common for the old furniture being sold to come with a free family of fleas, hence the name.
All right, so our article begins with a sentence that sets it up and makes it hopefully interesting to everyone. If you weren't already interested in flea markets, you will be after this. It says, here's an article for those of you who love to grab a bargain and who doesn't love a bargain. Everyone loves a bargain. I never heard anyone say, oh, I want to spend more money on this. No, you always say, I'm happy to spend less money on this because it's a bargain and everyone loves a bargain.
所以因为 bargain 它就是有便宜或廉价品，但其实中文我们常常说CP 值很高，英文也可以用这个字，我们就可以说 it's a real bargain。那如果 CP 值很低，你就可以说it's a rip off， 怎么那么贵啊？所以这篇文章呢，就是适合那些很喜欢杀价的人。那谁不喜欢杀价呢？
Yeah, how are we going to find these bargains? Well, today we're going to talk all about flea markets. There you go.
So flea markets, flea 就是跳蚤 market 就是市场。所以呢 we're going to take a look at flea markets.
We are indeed. Now, the article says, as you might have guessed from the introduction, a flea market is a magical place where great deals are found. Yes, from our introduction, from that first sentence, we talked about grabbing a bargain. But yeah, flea markets are wonderful places. In fact, they're magical places, according to the article. And what makes them so magical, especially for people who love to shop, is because that's a place that great deals are found, which for happy shoppers can truly be magical. Well, I'm sure a lot of you are clever enough to notice that the word magical has the word magic in it. And yes, magical is an adjective for magic. We can talk about a magical act or a magical book or Harry Potter being a magical young man because he uses magic. But no, here we're not using it to talk about magic or a magic trick or anything. We're just using it to talk about something really special, kind of unusual, maybe rare, but definitely something you would enjoy, definitely something that would be attractive to you, and something that also could just be really pretty, really nice to look at. Here's an example of that. It says, as the sun rose in the east, the beach was bathed in a magical light. It wasn't just normal sunlight like you would expect. It might be kind of pink and orange. It might be really, really nice, really special, really unusual, and definitely something you might want to grab a picture of because it's so unusual and so pretty, so magical.
Magical 就是神奇的、迷人的意思。那我们刚刚讲到 deal 这边是交易的意思哦，所以 it's a real bargain 我们其实也可以说 it's a great deal or it's a steal， 代表好便宜哦。所以我们从介绍就已经猜到，跳蚤市场是一个很 magical 很神奇的地方，可以找到超值商品。
All right, what would we find at a flea market? Again, not fleas. Many people sell second-hand items at cheap prices. Which is the appeal. Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want a great deal, you definitely want to find cheap prices. And for people who like to shop, that is part of the appeal or part of the attraction of a flea market. Of course, all of these things are second-hand items. In other words, they've already been used by people, but that makes them special and maybe makes them worth collecting. But whatever it is, the low prices or the special things you'll find, flea markets do have a lot of appeal. We can use appeal as a verb in the same way we might use the word attract. You appeal to someone if you're trying to get them to come over and come closer or something like that. And we could also use it as we would use the noun form of attract. Attraction, the appeal of something. What is it about it that makes you like it or makes you enjoy it? Or makes you want to go closer and learn more about it. All right, often with houses, we talk about curb appeal, the way you walk down the street and just look at the house, and even without going inside, you're like, what a pretty house, nice garden, beautiful door, it's been painted a lovely color. It's just attractive in some kind of way. Here's another example. That fashion designer is famous for and successful because her clothes are stylish and have a lot of appeal. They're stylish, they look like they're in style, and they're also something that many different types of women would find attractive or nice, and so of course they buy the clothes.
So second hand 就是二手的，那我们有时候可以直接说 used 就可以咯。所以比如说 he paid only $4,000 for this used car, but it's worth a lot more. 那老师一直刚刚在讲的 appeal 就是吸引力、感染力的意思，所以很多人会用低价去出售二手物品，因为这个就是对消费者来说很大的吸引力嘛。那如果你说东西太高价了，你也可以说 overpriced， 也代表说 CP 值很低的意思。
Now, of course, flea markets do have some things that maybe are not quite worth the money. As the article says, there's no denying that there is often some trash for sale, but there are usually very desirable items too. Yeah, it's kind of fun to hunt around in a flea market because there will be, broken things there that really aren't going to be useful or interesting for almost anyone. But in all of those other things, you can find those little diamonds, those little treasures, those really special things that might actually be worth a lot more than you pay for them. And I think for people hunting to find those really special things, that is part of the appeal of the flea market.
那我们也看到今天的 Language in Focus. Let's take a look now. There's no blah 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 via ing 指的就是不可能、无法。那我们用这个来强调句中表达的动作跟想法是不可能会或很难发生的这件事情。那我们后面常常接 that 引导的名词子句，或者是呢 WH 疑问词引导的名词子句，这样听很复杂。我们等一下直接找句子。所以句型常用的动词，我们可以说 There's no denying, there's no telling, knowing, saying, arguing, explaining, predicting 等等这些字都可以。那我们看一下例句 There's no telling who is going to show up tonight. 我们不知道谁今天会出现。 或者是呢 There's no denying that this has been a difficult year for the company. 不可否认哦，今年对公司来说是非常艰难的一年。
And we also saw this word desirable. Something desirable is something that's attractive. It's something that many people want. Front row seats for that big concert are very desirable. Or staying in a beautiful hotel downtown on New Year's Eve might be desirable for people. Something they really want, and of course, something that might sell out very quickly. Why? Because it is so desirable. So many people would like to have that or do that thing. For example, the south coast of France is a very desirable place to live. Homes there will be expensive.
Never been there.
Lots of celebrities and famous people will live there. And even normal people like us might dream of living there someday. Why? Because it's so nice, it's so pretty, it's so lovely, and it makes it desirable.
Desirable 就是令人向往的，它的动词跟名词都是 desire。所以呢，我们文章中就是说不可否认 there's no denying 怎么样，经常有一些垃圾出售啦，但同时也会有很多令人向往的物品哦。
All right, back to the article. It says the available items depend a lot on the type of flea market. Yeah, especially in places where they have many flea markets on a weekend, a lot of them will kind of focus on certain things, clothes, furniture, books, old toys, who knows? But there are different types of flea markets. Not all flea markets will sell all different products.
So depend on something 就是取决于，那我们口语上会说，什么看情况吧。It all depends， 或甚至这个 all 不讲也可以。比如说 How long are you going to stay in Japan?
I'm not sure yet. It depends.
看情况，所以不一定。所以可以用的物品在很大程度上呢是取决于跳蚤市场的类型哦。
Okay, as we learn about these different types of flea markets, here are some examples again. Some sell general items, okay? Maybe in smaller places where they only have one flea market, they'll sell everything. And that's kind of what we mean by general items. A lot of things you would expect to find, but a real variety. While others, it says, some sell general items while others specialize in things such as antiques, that would be old furniture, clothes, records, or even automobile parts. I like the records one. I want to go and buy some records with music but automobile parts. So you can even find flea markets where they'll have old tires or engines or seats from cars. And I guess if you're one of those people who likes to build old cars.
I was like, you gotta know how to put them on.
If you're a car mechanic hobby person, you know, who likes to sort of build cars in your garage on the weekend. Again, probably more common in North America and places where people have more space. But you can find old car parts because that's basically what an automobile is.
所以它就是一台车啦 automobile.
Yes.
Can we see the sentence?
Sure, we have this wonderful sentence. The Ford Model T was the first really successful and popular automobile. If I said the Ford Model T was the first really successful and popular car, it would be the same sentence.
所以呢，这边有一个 specialize， 它就是专攻、专门从事。所以我们可以加一个 in， 再加上从事的事情哦。比如说 the firm, which is the company, specializes in printing advertisements， 就是这个公司呢专门是从事印刷广告的。那老师刚刚讲 automobile 就是汽车的意思嘛。
That's exactly right. I guess you could include cars, trucks, buses, but generally with automobile, most people think of cars, just the simple private car, a taxi, something like that. And as I mentioned, antiques, anything antique is old, so you can talk about antique books, antique toys, antique clothing, but you can also use it as a noun to talk about antique or old furniture.
So antique 就是古物或古董哦，所以一些市场啊，可能一些不同型类的跳蚤市场，有一些是卖一般的东西，但是有一些是专门在卖古董啊、衣服、唱片，甚至是汽车零件都有。
Yeah, an antique is often considered, you know, anything sort of more than 50, certainly more than 100 years old. That would definitely be called an antique. Back to the article, it says, if you're wondering why the name for this type of market is flea market, you're not alone. Yeah, it is a strange name. I remember as a kid thinking, do people go there and buy fleas? I mean, first of all, fleas are tiny. Second of all, why? And third, how do you get them home? Don't they like jump everywhere? I thought it was very strange, this flea market idea.
Can you actually see them?
No.
They're so small, right?
Flea? Oh, yes, you can see fleas.
I've never seen one.
They're very, very tiny.
Okay, I've never seen one.
Yeah.
所以如果你想要知道为什么市场叫跳蚤市场，那么你并不孤单，因为大家都觉得很好奇。
All right, so yeah, why are they called flea markets? Well, the interesting thing is, we're not exactly sure. It says there are different theories or different ideas or different explanations. There are different theories, but the most likely one is probably also the most obvious, right? So probably the best explanation or the best theory is probably the one that you would expect, the most obvious. Because if something is obvious, it's easy to see, it's easy to understand, it's easy to guess. All right, if I tell you that my favorite type of ice cream is brown and sweet, you might go, chocolate? Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right? It's not a hard thing to figure out. Here's an example sentence. It's pretty obvious that Instagram and TikTok are the most popular social media apps these days. Most people talk about them, most celebrities are on them. Most times we see about social media in the news, it's often either Instagram or TikTok.
Sorry, Facebook.
Yeah.
所以 obvious 就是明显的、显然的。那这边出现一个 theory， 它就是理论。所以我们英文很喜欢说理论上来说就是 in theory。所以你可以说 in theory, these machines should last for at least 5 years。所以呢，对于跳蚤市场为什么叫 flea market 这件事情有不同的理论，但是最有可能的也是最容易让你看出来的。
Okay, so why is it called a flea market? Well, because back in the old days, you used to get fleas in this market. Not because you wanted them, but because they lived on everything in the old days before people washed like they wash these days.
Gosh.
Yeah, well, it's true. It says back in the 1860s, so not that long ago, back in the 1860s, there was a market area in Paris known as the Marché aux puces, which means the market of fleas.
好 ，OK。
They didn't go there to buy fleas.
Okay.
Let's say that again.
1860年代，
Yes.
巴黎有一个名叫 ，Can you do that for me?
Marché aux puces.
Marché aux puces，OK 的集市区。那这边我们看到一个 known as， 它就是以什么身份出名，所以我可以说，哦，鼎泰丰 is known as a classy Chinese restaurant。鼎泰丰呢是很优质的中餐厅著称，所以如果是 known as， 它就是某身份。那如果是以特点或者长处，是 known for， 所以不要弄错。比如说 he is known for his strong management skills， 他是以强大的管理能力这件事情而闻名哦。那如果是 be known to， 代表对某人来说是出名了。比如说 although she is known to only a few, her reputation among them is great。 虽然只有少数人知道她，不过大家对她的评价是很好的。
All right, so in France, it was called Marché aux puces. And as we learned, this directly translates to flea market in English. Yeah, as I said, the market of fleas, or as we would say in English, flea market. That's the name. All right, yes, flea market is the English word, but we get the English word by changing the French language to English and basically keeping the same meaning or the same idea. And that's what happens when you translate. If someone is speaking one language and another person speaks a totally different language and you speak both, great for you. You can help them to communicate. You can translate what he says in Spanish and say it to this person in Japanese, and then he responds in Japanese. You change it into Spanish and get that person to understand it. That's what you do when you translate. You can do it if you have the language skills. And of course, we have wonderful apps on our phones that can also help us to translate either spoken language or written words on a page. Here's our example sentence. Oh yeah, the Mandarin word for jeans, like blue jeans, pants, the Mandarin word for jeans translates to cowboy pants. Cool.
所以 translate 就是翻译哦，那像我们翻译机英文就是 translator。那我们如果直接翻成英文，它就是跳蚤市场。老师刚刚有讲到，这边刚出现的 directly， 它就是 direct 这个字的副词。
All right, so in 1860, were French people going to the flea market to buy fleas? Did they enjoy eating fleas as part of their snack or their breakfast? No, it wasn't the fleas they were buying. It was the fleas who lived in the stuff they were buying. As we learn, in those days, it was common for the old furniture being sold to come with a free family of fleas, hence the name. Yeah, back in those days, they didn't have vacuum cleaners, right? They didn't have all the soaps and wonderful things we have. So people lived with kind of more bugs in their homes or even living on their bodies. It wasn't strange back then. It was very common, but it was one of those less enjoyable parts of buying something old. You might get a beautiful new sofa or a beautiful old sofa, but you'd also get a beautiful new collection of fleas in your home.
所以 come with something 就是配有，那 hence 这边就是因此，它就有点像 therefore 的感觉。所以比如说 he was busy, therefore he could not come。所以在那个年代卖掉的旧家居，其实很常有一些跳蚤躲在里面，所以大家就会说，哦，你去那边买东西，你就买一堆跳蚤回去，而且不用钱的，所以大家才会说跳蚤市场啦。What do they do about the furniture after you get it home?
Live with the fleas?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess there were ways to get rid of them back in those days. Maybe steam them.
It's making me itchy.
Maybe things like paraffin or oil, but then your sofa could catch on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think basically you lived with them.
You'd rather get a new one. Come on.
Because they were everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, let's take a little break and then we'll get back here with our chat question. I'm going to get itchy.
I know. I'm getting itchy.
Really weird.
For You Chat.
All right, our chat question is about the types of things that you like to buy, either at a flea market, when you're shopping online, or when you're just, downtown browsing through the stores. But these are the things that you like to buy. Of course, there are many things we have to buy, right? You might have to go out and buy new shoes, but maybe you don't enjoy that. But what are some things that you go shopping for and you're like, yay, we can go shopping for this today?
I would say groceries and clothes.
Groceries and clothes. Okay, well that's good because they're things you probably buy fairly frequently. So
and for
good.
clothes, I shop for clothes every week.
Do you?
It's crazy.
You always have a wonderful wardrobe, so I can imagine that at home you must have.
And I give them away if I'm so tired of wearing them.
Okay,
so I can get new ones because I don't have endless space for my clothes.
Excellent. Okay, what about me? What kinds of things? Well, there's two things. Top of the list, number one would be records. I love to buy records. I'm running out of space at home. And number two, books. I love to buy books. I have many at home. I'm running out of space for both of those things, but I still love to buy them, which is probably why I'm running out of space. Because I constantly buy them and I just don't have anywhere to put them. But I still love them. But everything else I don't really like to shop for.
Clothes.
No, I'd rather go to the dentist than shop for clothes.
You mentioned that before. It's so funny.
I really do not enjoy it. But I love going shopping with friends.
You mentioned that before.
I can give you wonderful advice.
It's really funny.
But if with me, I'm just like, no, just that. Fine, let's go. How about you guys? What kind of things do you like to buy? And are fleas on your list? If so, go back to 1860s France. You'll have a great time. And come back tomorrow as well. No matter what you do, you'll have a great time with us. We have more about flea markets.
Vocabulary Review. Magical. Visiting Santa's village in Finland is magical. It feels like you're really in Santa Claus's home. Appeal. The new clothing line's bright colors and special designs have a strong appeal for young adults. Desirable. Living in a quieter place would be desirable, but I don't have enough money to move. Automobile. Automobile. Denise's old car broke, so she will buy a new automobile this weekend. Obvious. It's obvious you cheated on this test. This isn't even your writing. Translate. Translate. Penny's mother translates books and magazines from Italian into English for work.
智慧小补帖
Bargain. Flea market. Second hand. Specialize. Antique. Hence.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net